Good landing, huh?
Yeah!
Welcome to the world of hang gliding extreme. My name is Paul Hamilton, your guide to fun flying. We are going to the sites you like to fly, meet the people who make hang gliding history, and experience hang gliding extreme. Imagine it's early spring, and we are just beginning the flying season. We want an adventure in hang gliding. We travel to the Southern California coast and end up 25 miles north of Mexico at Torrey Pines Flight Park. Bill Bennett, a pioneer in hang gliding, explains the site.
Torrey is a multiple purpose site. It's been used for sailplanes since 1928, so it's like 62 years of soaring here. We now enjoy sailplanes, hang gliders, paragliders, RC aircraft. You occasionally see the hot air balloons here.
Take a break at the Cliff House restaurant and watch the flying action from the top deck. The Torrey training program is unique. A man-made training hill plus tandem flying right off the sheer cliff. After a brief ground school, fledgling pilots can feel the wind at their face as they float off the cliff for the first time. If you want to fly, learn to ride the extreme side. John Heiney is a professional photographer and aerobatic champion. He is also a local here at Torrey and can show us around the area from a bird's eye point of view.
Looks soarable. Let's blow our whistle to alert the RCers. We'll launch and head over to the north face. Here we're likely to find the best ridge lift at Torrey. At Torrey Pines we fly over the famous Black's Nude Beach. As we pass the north face, we occasionally see an amateur astronomer with his telescope aimed in the wrong direction. The second cliff north of launch is the famous Torrey Pines Golf Course, site of a nationally televised golf tournament. Be quiet if someone is putting. From the golf course north, the cliff level decreases significantly. The cliff level increases again to a reasonable soaring height at the north point, the northern limit of Torrey Pines. The north point is easily reachable in strong straight-in wind and is good adventure on lighter days. The first cliff south of launch is a slide area, not the best for ridge lift, but a popular thermal spot on unstable days. Occasionally, homeless people build shelters with a view in this area. The second cliff south of launch is called the Mansions. It also has shelters with a view. The third cliff south of launch is called Horizons. I've been told it's an Indian burial ground. I hope this cliff will remain as it is, but no matter what, the ancient spirits will soar freely forever. The fourth cliff south of launch is Scripps. The cliff dwindles towards the pier at Scripps Institute of Oceanography. The beaches at La Jolla Shores represent the southern limit of Torrey Pines. Now let's race north.
John, thanks for the tour of Torrey. We'll see some hang gliding extreme.
Loops are fun. We can encounter turbulence behind the mound in the landing area. The best place to land is right on top of the mound, but be prepared to overshoot until you get accustomed to the place.
If you have a competitive streak, you like to watch, or you like to compete, the Torrey Wind Sprints race is where it happens. What's different from this race compared to other races that you've been in?
Most of the races I've been in are all cross-country format. You know, the course is about anywhere from 2 to 4 hours long, flying many miles at high altitudes, and so a lot of decisions have to be made. This course is very short. I think one lap is 2 minutes, and if you hesitate on launch or a turn point, you've lost, and so it's short and fast.
This is probably one of the best races for spectators. I like the fact that we're flying this race for spectators and for ourselves and the prize money. I mean, there's obviously some prize money here, and that's always a good motivator to make you go fast.
What do you like best about this particular race?
Well, I haven't raced here at Torrey before. In fact, I haven't run a ridge race in about 3 years, but it's a real good flying site, and I don't think you need to be real close to the hill to go fast. So we'll just see what happens. Sure, a beautiful day for it. I hope it gets a little windier.
Do you fine-tune your glider for this race?
You betcha. I put a stack of shims out on the tip of the leading edge and tighten up all the battens, and then we got a few other tricks that we won't mention.
Yeah, I fine-tune my glider for every race depending on what conditions it requires. You want to know what exactly I did? Basically for this race, kind of doubled up on the mylar and leading edge. You know, for high-speed runs, you don't want your leading edge to start losing its shape. So I just stiffened that up, tightened a few battens here and there, and loosened the proper ones for quick turning at the turn points. And modified my harness for a little extra ballast in case we get some good winds.
All right. What do you feel when you're racing?
Well, when I'm out on the course, it's just total concentration on my positioning in relation to the ridge, how fast I'm going, and what I got to do to stay fast.
Beating the other guy. It's really pretty simple in a race like this. The first one across the line wins, and you're just working on being the first one through the line.
For Torrey here, what do you think is going to be the best position on the cliff?
Well, it just depends on how hard it blows and which pylon you're going for. Obviously, you want to be in the compression. You don't want to be above the hill, because as soon as you get above the hill, you got to deal with more of a crab angle. As long as you're below the top in front of the cliff, I mean, the air can't go through the cliff, so it's got to be going vertical. So I think the idea is to stay below the top of the cliff, pretty close to the top, and pretty close in, depending on where you are on the course, and then just pop up to get the pylon, do a 90, and back the other way. That should be the fastest.
She's going to read out the order you're supposed to be in. Bring your gliders right down here, stage them, try to clear the course as fast as possible so we can get 2 more people out as quick as possible.
Just paper.
Yeah, the winner picks a side.
Hit the ground.
Okay, you want heads or tails? Tails? Okay, here we go.
I want the right-hand side.
Okay, let's go get your bug. Let's go. Next two.
Right.
The race begins. Both pilots take off at the same time, one heading north, one heading south. They both round their pylon and head past the start to round their opponent's pylon. They shoot down the final stretch for the launch area and finish line to get the checkered flag. The first one across the finish line wins and moves into the next heat. As the fastest pilots move towards the finals, concentration intensifies. Pilots focus on winning the title. As the winners enjoy the thrill of victory, we leave Torrey and head north. What makes Lakeview, Oregon special to hang glider pilots? The town is turning into a hang gliding resort. The annual fly-in is put on by the Chamber of Commerce and attracts hundreds of pilots for a week of fun flying. The town understands what visiting pilots want: easy access to sites to get maximum air time. What is the most scenic site at Lakeview? Tags Butte. It's north of town with northwest and southwest takeoffs. Launch is in a forested area with a sheer cliff rim to climb out to. Pilots launch for air. It looks like the best cycles of the day. Let's go see if we can get a view from above launch. There's the landowner's house and a nice big green field to land in. Looks big and open. Keep her steady. Okay, landing gear down. Whoa, who put that fence there? Let's see how the other guys do. Let's see what the landowner thinks of all these landings.
I think it's great. Gives us a lot of good entertainment.
Hurdle at the end of the run. Whoa.
John Heiney brings in the forest ranger who helped open the launch. And last but not least is the classic Icarus 5 coming in for a landing to end our day here at Tags Butte. At the Lakeview Airport, there's another type of flying going on. Silent Flight provided continuous towing throughout the event. The truck accelerates, the horn honks, indicating 30 miles per hour airspeed, then blast off. Dan Buchanan invites the Lakeview Police Chief to go tandem. All of us hope things go well. It's always nice to have a common interest with a local law enforcement agency, especially on a hang gliding adventure in a small town. Things go well. Dan's legs are paralyzed, so he must bring it in on the wheels.
Wow!
Hey, it was great.
I really want to do it.
There you go.
The next morning at Lakeview, there was a balloon setting up. The wind seemed too strong, but who are we to judge? The pilot looked intent on flying. He shouted out that the winds were okay for him. He had a huge ground crew to wire him off, so he was going.
Come on in.
Go around the
Passengers in.
In now!
Quick.
Watch it go up.
Still hooked up here.
Get in.
You're still attached.
Hold the line. Hold the line. Hold the line.
Okay, go.
Got a rope out. Got a rope out. That's okay. We ain't gonna worry about it.
If this balloonist were a hang glider pilot, would he pre-flight his glider? We're off to Sugar Hill. It's known for its great cross-country flying. You've got a road along the ridge with plenty of landing areas. This is California, about 25 miles south of Lakeview, Oregon. If you want some trickier takeoffs to avoid the crowd, the whole ridge is launchable. Earlier in the day, the takeoff at the fire lookout is tough. About 2 o'clock, the wind and thermal cycles come cranking through up to 30. That's the time to be there if you want to sky. It's time to get off and leave the crowd behind. Nice, rowdy air. There'll be some good thermals out here somewhere. Let's get out here in front so we can drift back with the thermal. We're starting our cross-country flight at the south end of Goose Lake. Larry Sherman, who is already headed downwind, radios, the air is smooth over the back, recommend getting to cloud base if possible. Good thermal here, climbing out. At 12,000 feet, the thermal has fizzled into thin air. Time to head downwind and tune for maximum glide. Like Larry said, no bumps at all over the back. Getting low, need another thermal. There we go. Let's climb out. Here's the border where you cross over from California to Oregon. At the north end of Goose Lake, we're getting low again. Let's dive back for the ridge and hope for another thermal. Again, lucky to find the thermal we needed to hook up with Larry. Lakeview is now in sight as we catch the famous Lakeview glass-off. Smooth air going up everywhere. Meanwhile, pilots come in for landing from Sugar and from the Blackcap launch, which is right above Lakeview in back of us. Pilots are trying to hit the cone for spot landing points.
Right. We'll overshoot. That was close.
Wow!
Oh, what is that, sport?
Take it!
Get this. Oh, man.
Loretta, who is my wife, camera lady, tandem co-pilot, and driver, radios to me, cold refreshments now at landing. See if you can hit the cone. Let's go get that cone. Whoa. Whoa. Here comes Larry.
Oh, okay. I'm almost directly over the L.
It's been fun flying at Lakeview. There's only one place in the world like this. You are in Yosemite. Sheer granite walls were carved from glaciers millions of years ago. On the steep rock launch, it feels like you could slip off the 3,000-foot sheer cliff. Shoes that grip are a must. Loretta sets up the video camera in perfect position to get the best shots. Russ Locke is complying with all the National Park safety requirements.
I'm just here watching my son. That's my son.
You might want to move that back about 3 or 4 feet. Just make sure.
Loretta?
I'm fine, Russ.
Okay.
Larry just wants to go fly. He's used to the video camera obstacle. 3 steps is all you have to dive off the edge of the sheer cliff. The National Park rules are to fly before 8:30 in the morning. Why so early? So pilots don't sky out in big thermals, some hypoxic, others going cross-country and unaccounted for. So what do? We dive off into the calm air for a picturesque sled ride. You can smell the campfires and bacon cooking and the mini thermal bumps off the valley floor, priming you for breakfast at the Ahwahnee Hotel. You can feel the mist on your face as you explore the waterfalls, like no one else can. Let's not go too close. Hikers and climbers dot the valley walls, watching the gliders slice through the morning air. The wind in the landing meadow is almost always calm. The objective is to stay on dry ground and close to the trees. The morning is flying time, but what about in the afternoon? Hike the steep trails and discover the waterfalls. Explore the valley on the bike paths, or be extreme by rock climbing the best granite walls in the world. Hang gliding extreme is different things to different people. John Heiney holds the record for 52 consecutive loops. Let's find out what possessed him to go this extreme.
Mitch McAleer came up with the idea of a consecutive loop record, and he held the record himself for years at 24. I decided to try to break his record, so I wrote a letter to the Guinness people, and they agreed to do it as a segment on their show, Spectacular World of Guinness Records. I did 33 loops from a balloon drop with Tom Sanders taping from a helicopter. Mitch heard about my breaking his record, and a few days later he left a smart aleck message on my answer machine that the new record is 40. I couldn't let him get away with that. I had to go out and get some additional footage with the balloon crew for the program a week later. So after doing 10 loops with the camera on the nose boom, I landed a long way from where the balloon landed, and I thought my chances of regaining the record were gone. It was getting late in the morning, and air was getting rowdy. We almost broke the camera on the first launch. But Bill Dobbs, the balloon man, did me a big favor and brought the balloon back, reinflated, took me up to 9,000 feet above the ground. I released and went right into the first loop. When I passed 27, I thought of Rudy Kashazi, who did 27 consecutive flips in a standard by standing in the control bar. Pretty hairball thing to do without a parachute. When I went upside down on the 41st loop, I was very happy. I decided to continue to try to make the record hard to beat. About 400 feet above the ground, I pulled up, landed. My arms were sore for 3 days.
It would be nice if a hang glider would set up a lot faster, fold down smaller, and weigh in at only 20 pounds. Well, folks, welcome to paragliding. Pull it out of the backpack, spread it out, make sure your lines are straight, and fill it up with air. It's amazing how easy paragliders pick you up off the ground. Great for those mellow days when you don't want to set up your hang glider. You can be flying while your buddies are hang waiting. However, paragliders will collapse if you fly in turbulent conditions, so knowledge and good judgment are necessary for survival. Do it right and skywalk to cloud base. Owens Valley, world famous for highest ridges, longest valleys, and most radical air. Best cross-country flying in the world. You beginners and intermediates, let's go to a site for you. Flynn's Launch, just east of Bishop, has a training area and a higher launch that overlooks a huge landing field. Hang and paraglider pilots launch together to fly in the same air. In the Sierras, on the east side of the Owens Valley, is Crowley Lake. This is home of Kari Kastle, women's world distance record holder, and Mark Gibson, designer of the Gibbo Skyhook towing system. Their guided tours, called Awesome Air, provide beginner and expert pilots foot-launched and towing options. Mark Gibson, Gibbo, takes us up on a tow. Owens Valley is where Kari broke the women's cross-country record, flying 210 miles.
I took off late that day for wanting to do a distance record and for horseshoe. We launched at 10:30. I got high initially when I crossed over on the Whites, over by Mazurka, I guess it would be. And that was the last time I got high in the Whites, if you can believe that. I pretty much glided across Westgard Pass all the way to Gunter. Got the thermal off the deck, and it drifted me straight down the valley for a while, and I thought, oh great, bypass all the mountains and just cruise to the end. Well, sure enough, that petered, so I dove into the hills, got another rasty one and didn't like that, so I said, oh, I'll get a better one, you know. So I kept cruising down the range that way, thinking the next thermal was going to get better and better. Well, it never really got better. But before I knew it, I was at the end of the range, and I knew it was my last chance. I had to get up there in order to get up high enough to cross Montgomery and get out into the good stuff. So sure enough, I hit this ripper, like 1,500 up at Montgomery, and I just stuck with it all the way to Cloud Base, and then I was just sitting happy. You know, the first part and the hardest part's over. Now it's the easy part, but you still have 5 hours to stay up, so don't even think about landing. When it got late, at like 5:30, 6-ish, things were shutting down a bit. You know, some of the clouds were dropping virga, but it wasn't overdeveloping, but it was just kind of hanging, you know, not kind of shading in and stuff. So I had to slow down, and I had to talk to myself then, okay, I just launched off for an evening glass off, and I want to stay up as long as I can. You know, I used things like that to keep me up, and I just kept drifting with every little thing I got, and before I knew it, I was 210 miles down the road. It was great.
If you want to learn more about flying and test your skill against other pilots, competition is the extreme test. The Owens Valley Nationals provide extreme thermal conditions all day at high altitude. Pure oxygen and survival gear are necessary to fly safely here. The Mountain Queen brings pilots and gliders up the mountain. The pilots' meeting discusses weather condition and calls the task. Pictures of the task board, along with your pilot number on the glider, are required for flight task verification. Pilots ready themselves for the extreme adventure. The takeoff window opens at 1:30. The air is rough and blasting thermals. Gliders start piling off into the air and scrambling to find thermals. The air is jammed with over 100 gliders. This type of intense gaggle flying requires pilots to always be close to many other gliders in radical air. Intense concentration and alertness are critical to avoiding mid-air collisions. The tarp is rolled out to start the actual race and be photographed by the pilots. You race and photo the required checkpoints. Winning flight times for the longer tasks were over 5 hours with distances of 100 miles. Gliders in a pack fight to be first over the line and score high for the day. At the goal, Tony Barton arrives first. Gliders keep coming in. Larry Tudor snacks on some leftover oxygen, while Gibbo describes a low save earlier in the day. Jim Lee gets out of his super low drag solid pod harness. Pilots who do not make goal mark their landing spot for points, while verification film is turned in for every single pilot. Oxygen refill, late dinners, and up in the morning to do it again and again for over a week. The leaders continue to make it to the long goals each day and provide spectacular entertainment, diving for the finish line. The end of the Owens Valley Nationals allowed winners a well-deserved rest after conquering the extreme. Have you ever been to Telluride? What a great way to end the summer flying season. Everyone comes to just fly and have fun. When it rains, committing aviation becomes much more difficult. However, where there's a will, there's a way. It's cold and windy on top of the mountain. I thought of riding down the treacherous, slippery mountain road, but remembered having to jump for my life out the back of a pickup truck as it went off the same road and rolled down the mountain. Flying down feels like the right thing to do.
Winds in the town park are calm.
Yes, that's what we want to hear. There's the town of Telluride. Let's head on down to breakfast. comes Tony Barton, back for some photos over Needle Rock. And there's the ski trails that head down to town. Below us is John Heiney, popping his smoke to do an aero routine for the action-seeking audience waiting below in the town park. Looks like John's smoke bomb is still on. Always on when you don't need it. Run it out. Here comes Tony through the smoke. Yeah, the standard approach into Telluride. Dive it on over the parking lot. I can tell the crowd is hungry for the nose to touch, so they can yell whack, even if it's a little one. Someone had to do it. Later on, Dave Beardsley makes it out to landing as the weather develops and gets extreme.
Yeah. Good work. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
That's the most hail I ever flew through.
Yeah.
We had to get behind that where the air was dumping down to spiral down low enough so we wouldn't get sucked up in the clouds. We got hailed on like hell, didn't we?
We definitely got hailed on.
Today, it's time to drive west to the Promised Land, where it's usually dry with good flying. Here we are at Paradox, Colorado, named because the river flows across, not down the valley. The frontal winds are here, and pilots are getting good airtime. Paradox is a dream come true. Smooth thermals to cloud base. As the sun gets low in the sky, it's a glass off, lift everywhere. Below me, I make out pilots over the landing zone, pulling off extreme maneuvers, one pilot after another. Imagine being 1 mile high with smooth air to the ground. Boy, I'm sure glad someone else was the one to whack here at Paradox. At Telluride, the weather finally cleared. Loretta came to fly these mountains, and it was that time. Also, Kari Kastle offers to take us to Cloud Base. As we pack up our gliders and say goodbye to our friends, it's hard to leave the fun of the flying season. But luckily, we have our memories, which will always be there. This is Paul Hamilton. See you at Cloud Base. This time, I'd like to say a special thanks to the product sponsors who helped make this video possible. Pacific Airwave hang gliders, ball variometer flight decks, center of gravity harnesses, Wild Things flight suits, Firebird USA flight boots, and Sunto USA flight glasses. To see the complete Pacific Airwave adventure video production, contact your dealer or contact Pacific Airwave directly. Ball's new flight deck provides all functions for today's demanding pilot: altitude, vario averaging, relative altitude, audio level, vario damping, barometric pressure, and audio thresholds for lift and sink. A total energy probe plus true airspeed reading provide all features for a flight computer. The built-in barograph allows you to download the flight data to a computer and evaluate your flight altitude profile. The printout has all the data for an accurate electronic logbook. The M22 computer style offers most features of the flight deck, only it's much smaller. Ball's factory service in Colorado provides immediate turnaround and maintenance for repairs. Contact your nearest Ball dealer or Ball directly for more information. Center of gravity harnesses offer top-of-the-line comfort, storage, and low drag. The CG1000 harness suspension system uses an internal frame. This provides even pressure with no body squeezing typical of other harnesses. This combination provides pilot safety and ultimate comfort for days in the air. Compartments allow easy storage for the glider bag, oxygen, harness bag,
flight pockets, ground pockets, radio pockets, and other features. All this internal storage plus retractable pull strings are enclosed into a low-drag, streamlined shape. When you push the CG-1000 foot stirrup, your hang point center of gravity moves back, allowing you to align your body directly into the wind for further drag reduction. This feature also allows you to get the bar closer to your chest for those long glides. Since pilot drag has become a major factor in overall glider performance, a low-drag pilot harness combination provides better glides. Jay, president of Center of Gravity Harnesses, proves this by winning the glide ratio contest 2 years in a row. To increase your drag and reduce glide angle, open up the entry doors and sit up to provide about 6 times as much pilot drag as the streamlined position. For more information, contact your dealer or Center of Gravity directly. Wild Things flight suits are designed specifically for adapting to extreme temperature variations because of large altitude differences. It is quick to put on over the top of boots and a jacket. There are pit zips for the upper body, collar zippers for the neck, and leg zips, all allowing ventilation through the suit for takeoff and low altitude flying. When you ascend to cloud base where it is shady and cold, just zip up the suit to its windproof configuration and stay warm for high altitude cloud base enjoyment. Contact Wild Things for more information. Hanwag boots have all the features necessary for flying. Special ankle support, 2-layered super cushion sole, and eye holes instead of the potentially dangerous lace hooks. This boot features a deep traction sole that also makes it ideal for hiking. This is a quality leather boot designed for foot-launched flight. Contact Firebird USA for more information. Sebe sunglasses are made for action sports. The unique design wraps around the eyes to minimize wind fatigue and provide peripheral vision. Contact Sunto USA for more information on Sebe sunglasses. To order this video or many other great hang gliding and paragliding action videos, contact me, Paul Hamilton, and join us at Cloud Base.